Did you know that Jerusalem is not just a city, but a red line that cannot be crossed? In this video, we will reveal the forgotten facts about Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Barak Wall, and the Zionist ambitions that threaten this holy land. We will talk about the conspiracies being hatched to Judaize Jerusalem, and the danger of sedition that could ignite the entire region. But we will also touch on the tolerant message of Islam that calls for coexistence and respect for religions. Will Jerusalem remain a symbol of peace, or will it turn into an arena of conflict? Watch the video to know the whole truth and understand why we must protect this holy land together. Watch the video now, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all that is new.
The western wall of the noble sanctuary. The sanctuary of Jerusalem is the Al-Barak Wall, not the Wailing Wall. It is where the Prophet Muhammad tied the Barak near the gate before entering the mosque and leading the prophets in prayer. As for the two mosques now known as Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, they were built during the Umayyad rule in 65 after Hijrah. According to the book Stories of the Prophets by Ibn Kathir, approximately 30 prophets were killed at the site of the Dome of the Rock by the hands of the Jews. There are ongoing plans to Judaize Jerusalem, and they openly and audaciously declare their intention to build the temple, expel the Arabs, demolish Al-Aqsa Mosque, and incite strife through a well-planned Zionist conspiracy. A massacre against Muslims in Al-Aqsa Mosque is being schemed to serve as the spark for this sedition, with around 20 extremist organizations working to ignite this conflict. We loudly proclaim that Jerusalem is the red line that cannot be crossed. If strife erupts, no one will be safe from its flames and its evil, and the entire region will be engulfed in turmoil. This is a highly serious matter, and it is imperative for Arabs, Muslims, and Christians to counter and thwart Zionist plans and conspiracies. The flower of cities, Jerusalem, must always remain a place for the three monotheistic religions to perform their religious rituals freely. We remind the Jewish religious leaders who abide by Allah's commandments and believe in His revelations that no nation is destroyed except due to widespread injustice. Let them reflect on Allah's words regarding them in verses 153 to 162 of Surah An-Nisa and verse 13 of Surah Al-Ma'idah. Finally, as we began this book with Allah's permission, we conclude it likewise. In the Egyptian newspaper Al-Ahram, dated February 4, 2000, under the section Ask the Jurist, a question was posed. Is entering paradise conditional upon Islamic belief, regardless of a Muslim's conduct? And are non-Muslims deprived of paradise due to their doctrinal differences, irrespective of their good behavior? The response of the jurist, Muhammad al-Misir, was as follows. Followers of all creeds, whether pagan, Jewish, Christian, or Islamic, believe that those who differ from them are in error and disbelief. He continued, the doctrine of Islam is founded upon principles defined by the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah 2:285. Whoever contradicts this doctrine is in error. Matters of religion and divine revelation are not subject to human whims. Allah's justice is absolute and impartial. Religious differences should not lead to animosity and division, but rather necessitate mutual understanding and cooperation based on shared human brotherhood. Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13. We do not disagree with His Excellency. A believing Jew or Christian has faith in Allah, His angels, His scriptures, and the messengers mentioned in them. Allah, the Almighty, will judge among them with justice concerning what they differed over, what remained hidden from them, and what their hearts concealed. The central message of our book is that plurality and diversity are divine laws that remain unchanged and govern all existence. Professor Muhammad al-Sharqawi, a scholar of comparative religion at the Faculty of Science, speaks about religious plurality in light of Allah's words. Had your Lord willed, he could have made all people a single nation. Based on his studies of world religions, he asserts, nowhere in the religious texts of any faith do we find a statement as decisive and noble in its tolerance as this verse. He further explains, if we understand Islam as submission to Allah, then the meaning of Islam in the verse, indeed the religion with Allah is Islam, and in whoever seeks a religion other than Islam, it will never be accepted from him, refers to what Allah revealed to all his messengers from Adam to Muhammad, peace be upon him, without alteration or change. Allah created humanity and gave them a religion, which he named Islam. The names attributed to religious beliefs come from their adherents. Professor Al-Sharqawi adds, how could humanity benefit from the divine gift of religious choice if religions were not, in reality, diverse? Acceptance or rejection is ultimately in the hands of Allah after he has made guidance clear from misguidance. Many Western writers accuse Islam of being intolerant, insular, and rejecting religious plurality, portraying it as unaccepting of others and seeking to exclude them. They do this to damage Islam's reputation in the West, portraying it as a common enemy to all. In the general media discourse, there is systematic distortion and incitement against Islam and Muslims. Certain Orientalists, missionaries, and media figures construct and present a distorted image of Islam to Western audiences, portraying it as dark and menacing, the so-called green peril. This media campaign is a continuation of the propaganda that began during the Crusades. When Muslims entered Spain in 711 AD, carrying the banner of Islam, Christian missionary movements across Europe exerted efforts to convert people to Christianity, sometimes through persuasion and other times through coercion. Thousands of Saxons were killed for refusing to embrace Christianity. Western Christianity saw itself engaged in a real and bloody war against those who rejected Christianity within its own territories, as well as against Islam, which had suddenly emerged on the historical stage. The media war against Islam was even fiercer, distorting its image and falsely claiming that Muslim armies invaded lands by the sword, subjugated their inhabitants, and plundered their wealth. The Crusades were then framed as wars aimed at liberating Jerusalem from infidel Muslims, who, according to their allegations, mistreated Christian pilgrims. This media war against Islam has continued both overtly and covertly since the Middle Ages. Western educational curricula deliberately omit historical events, such as the massacre of Muslims when Jerusalem was seized in 1099 and its subsequent liberation by Salah al-Din in 1187. This omission is a calculated attempt to obscure historical facts and distort the image of Islam by exaggerating the misdeeds of some Muslims. Our mission is to dispel the falsehoods about Islam that have taken root in the Western consciousness, creating a general intellectual climate that is difficult to dismantle. Our task is to promote religious and cultural plurality, acceptance of others, and to encourage Muslim scholars and moderate intellectuals to correct misconceptions and counter false claims. We must not leave the field open to extremist currents. Our relationship with others should not be one of mutual suspicion, but rather one of seeking truth, engaging in serious dialogue, and fostering mutual understanding. The purpose of dialogue is not for one to abandon their faith, but to clarify the pristine image of Islam, which has been distorted by malicious campaigns, and to pave the way for others to explore Islam and discover its treasures. Our religion is one of dialogue and respectful debate. As Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, once said, Islam is not only one of the greatest religions in the world, but it has also, throughout history, been a guiding light for many great civilizations. Dialogue should be founded on shared values, mutual respect, and recognition to enable peaceful coexistence. Every individual should have the freedom to follow their traditions without facing opposition to their independent thinking, as ordained by Allah Almighty. Such a dialogue requires intellectual depth and a contemporary discourse to correct the impact of historical heritage and bridge the gap of disagreement between us and others. We believe that religions can be compared with true integrity. Various arguments, adversarial claims, and defenses arising from textual interpretations, often with one side attempting to discredit the beliefs of the other, are largely false assertions. The confirmed truth is what Allah Almighty has conveyed to us, that judgment belongs to Him alone, and He has not commanded us to judge others. There are numerous verses in the Quran that affirm this meaning. Our duty, therefore, is to engage in dialogue with others based on adaptability, peaceful coexistence, and the avoidance of bias, emotional impulses, and extremism. Allah Almighty commanded Muslims to treat the people of the book with kindness and dignity, and Islam guarantees freedom of belief for all. See Surah Yunus, verse 99, and Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 256. We do not oppose the monotheistic Jewish faith, but we reject Zionism. The Quran denies the divinity of Christ, as well as the concepts of crucifixion and atonement. However, it explicitly states that Christianity is the closest faith to Islam in affection. See Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 82. We also observe that Quranic verses address Christianity as an existing faith, rather than one that has been abrogated, as some believe. The Quran instructs us to reciprocate goodwill with them. Refer to the book Prophets of Allah by Ahmed Bahgat, page 366, which emphasizes that those who call people to Allah are not enforcers of religious rulings, but rather bearers of mercy. The essence of faith is virtue, which ensures the prosperity of both this life and the hereafter. Such noble values can only be found in divine guidance and the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, which instruct us to respect others' beliefs without compelling them to change their faith. Every person has the right to believe in the religion that their heart finds truth in, their intellect accepts, and their soul finds peace with. Allah Almighty is the one who chooses and ordains religions for people. See Surah An-Nur, verse 55. He teaches us that humanity is a single, indivisible entity. All are the children of Adam, and no one has superiority over another except through piety. However, some believe themselves to be the center of the universe, viewing others as uncivilized. They see themselves as the embodiment of faith, while others are labeled as ignorant. They claim to be the only ones on the right path, while those outside their circle are considered misguided or wrong. Such extremism leads to sectarianism and division, straying from the principle that states, my opinion is correct but may be wrong, and the opinion of others is wrong but may be correct. By adopting this approach, dialogue remains calm and constructive, allowing us to reach the core of truth while safeguarding the integrity of opinions measured by sound reasoning, rational logic, and a conscience devoted to justice. Through this, we revive hearts burdened by the weight of prejudice, for hearts serve as mirrors reflecting divine truth when polished with the light of faith. From this perspective, we have composed this book, not claiming it to be an absolute truth immune from falsehood, but rather following the best of our reasoning. Our guiding principle aligns with what the esteemed Imams, may Allah be pleased with them, have conveyed. Our Imam, Al-Shafi'i, once said, I have never debated with anyone while hoping for them to be wrong. I do not mind if Allah reveals the truth through my opponent's words or mine. When Imam Abu Hanifa was asked whether his religious verdicts represented absolute truth, he replied, By Allah, I do not know. Perhaps it is falsehood that no truth can correct. He also stated, Our opinion is the best we have been able to reach, but if someone brings us a better one, it is more deserving of acceptance. Imam Malik ibn Anas said, A scholar should teach his students to say, I do not know, for if he loses this phrase, he has lost his scholarly integrity. He also asserted, every scholar's words may be accepted or rejected, except those of the infallible prophet, peace be upon him. The mystic and scholar Muhyiddin ibn Arabi expressed a profound realization. In the past, I used to reject my companion if his faith did not align with mine. But now, my heart has become receptive to all forms, a pasture for gazelles, a monastery for monks, a temple for idols, the Kaaba for pilgrims, the tablets of the Torah, and the book of the Quran. All the prophets and messengers of Allah forbade hatred, envy, and resentment among people. The essence of religion is love, a force that unites humanity without division or bias. Religion was sent to save humanity, not to obscure the truth or incite conflict. Islam upholds noble principles, foremost among them love and peace with other faiths. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, commanded us to honor people according to their status, which includes respecting others regardless of their belief. True Islamic jurisprudence is not about rigidity, but about interpreting texts within their proper contexts, in alignment with overarching objectives and purposes. It does not revolve around texts that promote exclusivity, criminalization, or restrict people from Allah's mercy. Our Islamic law transcends such constraints, guiding us toward the true purpose of Islam, moderation. This is a foundational Islamic principle. Allah's mercy is vast enough to encompass you and others alike. Absolute truth is not confined to you alone. Others also possess a truth that originates from the same divine source as yours. Finally, we ask Allah Almighty to make this work sincere for His sake, to accept it from us, and to make it a guiding light for us in this life and the hereafter. The purpose of this work is to attain a deep, enlightened understanding of the Quran, the Sunnah, jurisprudence, and Sharia, free from extremism and steadfast in the pursuit of knowledge, as encouraged by our noble faith. We acknowledge the legitimacy of differing beliefs and opinions. Indeed, He is the best of helpers and supporters.